Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining into our National General Short-Term Limited Duration webinar. It is Friday, October 19th, and we are pleased to be offering this program. I personally think that short-term limited duration medical insurance is really going to be the answer to a lot of folks' issues, and a solution for them for the right person. You just have to be mindful to make sure that it is the right candidate when you're writing these plans. My name is Deb Wilkinson. I'm the Vice President of the Health Plan Options Department at URL. My duties include overseeing the traditional group markets, the self-funded, the level-funded, the reference-based pricing, and of course the individual market and the short-term market, as well as the employee benefits. I would be certainly remiss if I did not talk a little bit about URL, and for those that are new on this platform, our website is urlinsgroup.com. We are made up of several different silos. We are, first of all and foremost, a multidisciplined full-service general agency. We have several silos: Annuity Solutions, which is run by our Senior Vice President, Joe Corio, and Joe's had a lot of success with some college planning and, believe it or not, annuities, even in this low interest rate driven market. But there are a lot of opportunities not only for folks that have the money, but we all know pardon me, there's a lot of folks retiring, and it's a good solution, pardon me, for continuing on with some income. I apologize. Employee benefits and health plan options, I oversee these markets. The voluntary or employer paid markets, health plan options, obviously. On health plan options, I just want to draw your attention to some of the resource pages, FFM resources. You can go there for everything within the individual market, some options for looking at what is considered income if you're working in the marketplace segment. Our group health resource page, this will show you everything that you need to submit or change or add any new employee or new group. So again, that's a great resource for you. And last but not least, the group quoting, or the quoting tools. And you'll notice that we do have our National General Short-Term Quoting link there. You're certainly welcome to use that after this webinar. You'll be able to get some rates and look and see, what you're really looking at in comparison to an ACA plan. To continue on with our silos, L.I.F E Markets is run by Steve Clemens, and they oversee everything in the L.I.F E markets, disability as well, and they've experienced some great growth as well with the senior markets and the final expense programs. And then last but not least, Medicare offerings. This, of course, is open enrollment season for Medicare, and that is run by the co-directors, Christy Wilbert and Kara McDaniel. And again, they've had great success. So that's a little bit about URL. We have several platforms. Our Gemini partnership is really just a higher level of partnership within URL. Excuse me, I'm clicking all over here.
My God.
And essentially, that partnership is, our Gemini partners are elite partners, and they agree to partner more heavily with us.
Oh my God.
Oh, Nancy, you okay? I'm sorry, you're not muted.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No worries. And of course, I would again be remiss if I did not talk about our Orion program. Our Orion program allows you to, hand over leads that maybe you're not comfortable with. It's not a platform that you're currently working in, but it's a way not only to increase your offerings and increase your client base, but also increase your revenue. So that is a quick URL commercial. I'm going to hand it over in a few seconds here to Nancy Vandervelde. She is the regional sales manager for National General. She's going to talk a little bit about the short-term limited duration policy, go through the nuts and bolts of the program, and also how to quote from beginning to end, because it is a little bit of a process, but quite frankly, I think this will take the mystery out of it and allow you to sell these programs comfortably. And just one last note, you know, short-term limited duration insurance, again, it's not for everyone, but because it does have some pre-existing, and Nancy will go over that, but when you're looking at rates in comparison to an ACA plan, you know, it's hard to ignore. These are comparisons for 2018 ACA rates, but I did a comparison on a family, 35 male, 35 female, 10-year-old male, 8-year-old female, on an ACA plan, $5,000 deductible 90/10 plan, versus a short-term limited duration plan, $5,000 deductible 80/20 plan. And the ACA rate is about $2,900 a month compared to about $230 a month. So definitely worth looking at for your right client. And that's why we felt it was important to really go over these programs in more depth. So let me get back here. I'm going to hand over the screens now to Nancy, and she's going to go through her webinar and talk about the program. So Nancy, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Deb. And just let me know if you, when you can see my screen, please.
I can see it.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to thank you. I am Nancy Vandervelde. I work with Phil Mishler, and together we're your sales resource for our short-term medical and our supplemental plans. And I want to thank you for your time. I know it's a very busy time of the year. I plan to keep the presentation to about 40 minutes. We'll open it up for questions, and we'll get you back to work and out in the field early. We are very excited right now. This is an exciting time for short-term medical sales. We've got two things that have happened recently that make short-term medical more attractive to more people. Number one, in many states, we can now offer a 364-day policy term, whereas in the past, for pretty much the last 2 years, we've been limited to a 3-month policy. And secondly, the federal tax penalty for not enrolling in an ACA plan is gone in 2019. So that barrier to sales has been removed as well. So let's begin by taking a look at our short-term medical plan. We do offer two types of short-term. One is standard issue that has eligibility questions. Your customers need to be able to qualify for the plan, as well as a couple of guaranteed issue versions of the plan. Policy terms are available from a minimum of 30 days up to 364 days in states that have allowed that. Now, there are some states that have chosen to be more restrictive with shorter policy terms. We'll take a look at those details as well in a few minutes. We have a very broad footprint across the country. We are actually in 35 states, which makes us more available and in more states than any of our competitors. We also have a very easy online enrollment process, and I'll give you a demonstration of that towards the end of the webinar. Here are our plan designs for the standard issue policies. And this is for your healthy individuals who can answer no to all of the knockout eligibility questions. In most states, we have 5 deductibles available. The $1,000 deductible is not available in Indiana or Tennessee. What I like to point out on this screen is the column on the right, and that's the coverage period maximum benefit. It is per coverage period, and it is per person. In most cases, it is $1 million. The exception you'll see is if you choose a 50-50 coinsurance plan, then that maximum benefit is $250,000. Now, for that reason, I tend to stay away from the 50-50 plans unless I'm really needing to squeeze it into someone's budget, but it's nice to know that it's available if somebody is on a budget. Here's the design for the 2 guaranteed issue plans. And the only difference with the guaranteed issue plan is that coverage period maximum benefit. You'll see here that that benefit is $100,000 versus the million or $250,000 that we just saw on the standard issue plans. Now, it's really important for all of your short-term customers, whether it's standard or guaranteed, that they understand that pre-existing conditions are not going to be covered. And we do use a 12-month look-back period in determining what's pre-existing. Let's take a look at one of our biggest advantages, and that is the network that we use. We have partnered with Aetna, and we use the Aetna Open Choice PPO network. The network gives people access to almost 700,000 medical providers across the country. I've listed here the website where you can search for providers, and this website is also listed in the brochure. There's a link to it on the quoting site, and once your customers are members, they can even call into member services and we'll help them locate a provider. Now, they can go to any provider they choose. They do not have to stay within network, but when they do, that's when they'll benefit from negotiated discounts and maximum allowable amounts, and they'll be able to save money. Let's take a look at some of the plan benefits. For doctor visits, that's going to be subject to deductible and coinsurance. There are a few states where we're going to contribute $50 once per year for the first time they go to the doctor. Those states are Colorado, Florida, Ohio, Maryland, New Mexico, Oregon, and Utah. Urgent care is a really rich benefit on our plan. And with urgent care, your customer pays a $50 access fee, their plan deductible is waived, and then they pay their share of coinsurance on the remaining balance. So if they're on one of the 80/20 plans, they're going to pay the $50 and then 20% of the remaining bill. If you put them on one of the 100% coinsurance plans, then they know every time they go to urgent care, it's just going to be that $50 access fee. So again, urgent care is a rich benefit on the plan. Emergency room is subject to deductible and coinsurance. If they go to the emergency room and they're treated and released, there's an additional $250 access fee. That fee is waived if they are admitted to the hospital. Ambulance service is subject to deductible and coinsurance, unlimited number of trips, a maximum benefit that we'll pay per trip of $250. Now, in the majority of states, our plans are filed as association products. And so when your customer purchases the short-term medical, they're also purchasing a monthly membership to the L.I.F.E Association. And there's discounts they can take advantage of to help them save money. In the health care benefits section, the biggest value item is TrioMed. And with TrioMed, your customers can call in 24/7, talk to a physician on the phone, and in many cases, that doctor can even phone in a prescription for them. There's no charge to use telemedicine, and there's no limit to the number of times that they can use it. This works really good for something like a sinus infection, where many of us can self-diagnose it. We just have to have that antibiotic to get over it. TrioMed will give us free access to that doctor. So for your customers in the association states, when you're coaching them to get the most value out of their policy, number one, when appropriate, use TrioMed. Secondly, use that urgent care benefit. And thirdly, visit your regular doctor. Now, through the association, there's also a prescription discount card that they can print and show to the pharmacist and receive reduced pricing on a prescription. As far as drug coverage on the short-term medical plan, inpatient drugs, if you're in the hospital, that's subject to deductible and coinsurance with no dollar limitation. However, there is no coverage for outpatient drugs. If you go to the pharmacy and pick up a prescription, you'll be paying out of pocket, but through the association, you'll be able to print a discount card and save some money. There's also a category of benefits for family benefits. You can receive discounts at fitness centers. There is There's identity theft protection programs and discounts for roadside assistance as well. There's even a category of entertainment where they can receive discounts for travel services, some retail stores, and dining and entertainment. Here's a map of our footprint. Our short-term plans are available in all of the gray and blue states. The gray states are the association states. When you sell the short-term, it will include the association membership. The blue states are non-association or optional, and you will see that on the quoting site as well. Let's talk about the policy terms. These are the states, the 22, 23 states where our short-term plan is now available for up to 364 days. There's also some states that have been more restrictive. South Carolina has chosen an 11-month maximum policy, and we have 6 months in these 8 states and 3 months for Indiana, Maryland, and Oregon. The states that you see with asterisks, we allow you to sign someone up for consecutive plans. For example, in Arizona, the maximum policy term is 6 months, but you're able to enroll your customer in 2 6-month policies, all in one easy enrollment. Now, they are separate policies, so the customer's deductible and out-of-pocket is going to reset for each 6-month period. They'll receive new ID cards in the mail, but they don't have to re-qualify. They don't have to answer the eligibility questions. We're guaranteeing that they'll be eligible for that subsequent policy. Let's talk about eligibility. The age requirements. The minimum age is 60 days. Maximum age is through age 64. And dependents can stay on a parent's plan up to age 26. We are unique in that we allow for child-only applications. As long as that baby is at least 60 days old, you can write them without mom and dad. We'll also take a look at the health eligibility questions. Now, these questions do vary somewhat from state to state, but here's a pretty consistent list of the eligibility questions. If an individual is pregnant or an expectant father, they're not going to be eligible. For weight, males over 300, females over 250, not eligible. If they've been hospitalized for mental illness in the last 5 years or seen a psychiatrist for more than 5 times in the last 12 months, not eligible. And within the last 5 years, if they've been treated for AIDS or tested positive for HIV, also not eligible for standard issue. And then here's the big question. In the last 5 years, has any applicant been diagnosed, treated, or taken medication for or experienced signs or symptoms of any of the following? And this is your cancer, heart attack, stroke, kidney disease, Crohn's disease, diabetes, liver disorder, rheumatoid arthritis, alcohol abuse, or chemical dependency. Now, if your customer can answer no to all of those eligibility questions, they qualify for the standard issue plan. If not, you can go into a discussion about guaranteed issue and see if that is an appropriate choice. Remember that pre-existing conditions are not going to be covered on either standard issue or guaranteed issue. Here's the states that allow for a guaranteed issue plan. We have some states that are the 12 months or 364 days, and then the remaining states here with a shorter maximum policy term. Short-term medical does not provide coverage for some things. I like to explain that short-term medical is less expensive than a major medical plan, and it's because we don't cover everything. I've already mentioned that pre-existing conditions are not covered. We use that 12-month look-back period. Maternity is not a covered benefit. Expenses incurred outside of the United States, its possessions or Canada. Mental illness is not covered. Also, joint replacement or spinal or back surgery, unless it was related to a covered injury. The brochure contains a complete listing of the limitations and exclusions. I encourage you to read through that, be familiar with them. Let me know if you have any questions, and also encourage your customers to read through their policy documents as well. We don't want people to be surprised at the time of claims. Now, let's switch gears just a little bit and talk about some of the supplemental plans that we have available. And these plans can be sold standalone, or they could be bundled in with our short-term policy to provide additional financial protection. And the idea with the supplemental plans is really to help provide some cash to help cover an individual's out-of-pocket expenses like their deductible and coinsurance. We have a plan enhancer, which is an accident medical expense plan with optional riders in some states for cancer, heart attack, stroke, and for sickness inpatient, so that if they are hospitalized due to a sickness, it would pay out a lump sum cash benefit. The TrioMed plan we'll take a closer look at in just a few minutes, but it is an accident medical expense plan, critical illness, and accidental death and dismemberment. In many states, we have cancer, heart attack, stroke plans that will pay out a lump sum benefit upon first diagnosis. We have our hospital expense indemnity plan. We'll take a look at that in detail later. Term life critical illness policies. We have a foundation health plan, which is a fixed benefit indemnity product. We also have in many states one or two dental options, either a dental PPO or a dental indemnity plan. The indemnity plan will pay according to a schedule of benefits. The attraction of the indemnity plan is that it can be used at any dentist. You do not have to worry about staying within a network. We're going to take a quick look at the enrollment process. With National General, your coverage can start as early as the next day. If you do an agent-assisted enrollment, your customer does need to complete their e-signature in order for that policy to go effective the next day. The initial payment will be drawn upon submission or when that e-signature is completed. The payment options are going to be monthly or a single pay. With monthly, your reoccurring payment will come out of your customer's bank or credit card 5 days prior to the monthly anniversary. I want to mention here the single pay option. There's a small premium discount for single pay. It's about 5%. With single pay, it is non-refundable outside of the 10-day free look. So you want to make sure that your customer knows they need coverage for the entire time period if they're going to choose single pay. And the two forms of payment are debit to their bank account or credit card, Visa, MasterCard, or Discover. Some states allow for back-to-back policies. These states that you see here do have some restrictions on the number of back-to-back policies, and some states will require a gap between plans. I do want to note that in Connecticut, we are selling the policy through the end of this year. However, there will be no sales in 2019 due to state requirements. Now, after an enrollment is complete, your customer will receive a welcome email, and they're going to have access to the member portal. Member portal is www.mynatgen.com. And your customer can log into the member portal and immediately print a temporary ID card. So it is a very nice close to the sale. Within a couple of days, we're going to load in their electronic policy to the member portal as well. And I just want to note that the only thing your customers are going to receive in the mail will be the permanent ID cards, and those should arrive within 5 to 7 business days. Now, before we leave the short-term medical, just a few necessary disclosures. you need to make sure that you're clear to your customers that short-term medical is not a major medical plan. It does not offer the same coverage. It's not minimum essential coverage. It has exclusions, and it's not the same benefits. And if you're doing an agent-assisted enrollment, you'll be reading the application questions and these disclaimers to your customers as well. All right, we're going to switch gears. There's just two of the supplemental plans that I'm going to highlight here. The first is the Hospital Expense Protection Plan. This is a fixed indemnity product that pays a set cash benefit to help your customers cover their out-of-pocket expenses. Comes in multiple plan designs with different benefits for hospitalization, doctor visits, lab and x-ray. It's going to pay on top of any other coverage, and it is guaranteed issue. Here are the different levels of plans to choose from. You'll see here for level 4, if somebody is hospitalized, the first time per policy year that they are admitted, there's a $1,500 benefit. The confinement benefit, in addition to the admission, is $150 per day for a maximum of 31 days per policy year. There's also a cash benefit for doctor visits. Twice per year, we'll pay $75 when they go to the doctor. Twice per year, we'll pay $50 for x-ray benefit. And twice per year, we'll pay $50 for the lab benefit. Pretty straightforward. The dollar amounts you see here are the benefit amounts that we pay. Again, it's designed to pay cash to your customer to help them cover expenses that would typically be out of pocket. Next, we'll take a look at the TrioMed plan. TrioMed plan helps your customer by providing cash if there's an accident, a critical illness, or accidental death and dismemberment. The product is guaranteed issue at 3 different benefit levels. The accident medical expense benefit will reimburse out-of-pocket expenses due to an accident up to the benefit amount you select. There is a deductible of $250 per accident. The critical illness benefit will pay out in several different categories. We'll take a look at that. And the accidental death and dismemberment will pay a beneficiary in the event that someone passes away from a covered accident. And it's also available in a number of states. Here are the 3 benefit amounts for the guaranteed issued TrioMed plan. The idea is to select a benefit amount that as closely as possible matches your customer's out-of-pocket exposure, either on short-term or on their major medical plan. The categories for the critical illness, it'll pay out a lump sum cash benefit upon first ever diagnosis of heart attack, stroke. There is a partial payout if somebody doesn't have a full heart attack or stroke, but only requires bypass surgery or has a heart valve replacement. The second category is for cancer. 100% payout for invasive cancer, 25% payout for cancer in situ or cancer that has not spread. And the third category is for major organ transplants, advanced Alzheimer's disease, coma, ALS, paralysis, and severe burns. Now, there is a benefit amount for each one of these categories. So if somebody should have just an awful year and they would have both heart attack, stroke, cancer, and maybe major organ transplant, there would be a benefit payout for each category. Here's a state map of where the TrioMed plan is available. It's available in all states in orange. Eligibility. Your applicant needs to be between the ages of 18 and 64 at the time of enrollment. It's guaranteed renewable up to age 70. With that, I want to switch gears and show you how easy it is to quote and enroll. The first time you ever are able to access the quoting site, you do need to register. Very easy process. It's just putting in your NPN number, your last name, and you choose a username and password. Once you have that, you can log into the quoting site. And let me just get there. Okay. You log in with your username and password, and this is the home screen. Now, there's two ways to do a quote. One is a quick quote where you're just plugging in demographics. The other is to first create a contact record with name and address, and then create your proposal. We're going to run through the quick quote together. I'll just enter in a zip code. This one happens to be for North Carolina. Click on Go. Select the correct county if appropriate. If you're doing a child-only policy, you just need to check this box. In this case, we'll quote a male, age 35, and note the gender does default, so don't go too fast. Make sure you are changing that to female if appropriate. If they are a tobacco user, you want to check this box. You'll be prompted to enter the last date that they've used tobacco products. If there's a spouse or dependents, you enter those as well. And pay attention to the bottom line here. This is where you can enter the effective date. The default is going to be to make the policy effective for tomorrow. You can push this out into the future. You could, at this point, you could quote and enroll someone for January 1st. Coverage term is always going to default to the maximum term available for that state. In North Carolina, we can do the 12-month policy. The default payment method is monthly. You can change that to single pay if that's what your customer is looking for. Then we click on Show Plans. And the system's going to load in a suggested package for your state. That package is typically going to include a short-term medical, a dental, maybe an accident. And if you wanted to go with the package, you could just click on Enroll Now for an agent-assisted enrollment, or you could create the proposal and email it to your customer. Now, what I want to show you, though, is how you can see all of the options and create your own package. So most of the time, you're probably going to be clicking on this See All Plans button in the upper right. When you do that, you'll see the various categories of products in the gray bar. We're now on the category of short-term. There's also the category of fixed indemnity, where that hospital expense protection plan is, and the accident category, where the TrioMed plan is. We're going to scroll down the screen and look at all of our options for the short-term medical. You'll notice here are the two short-term medical plans that are guaranteed issue. One of our best sellers, and I think one of our best values, is the $5,000 deductible at 100% coinsurance. If this is what my customer is looking for, I'm going to add it to my shopping cart. Now, I want to build him a package and provide some additional protection to help cover that $5,000 deductible. So I'm going to come back up to my accident category. I'll scroll down to the TrioMed. Here I have my TrioMed guaranteed issue, $5,000 benefit, and I'm going to add that into the cart. And by the way, TrioMed is not age-dependent rate. And so an 18-year-old or a 64-year-old can both purchase the $5,000 benefit for $42 a month. That's in my cart. And my client's also interested in dental. So I'm going to scroll back up to the top, click on dental. I'm going to add in the Dental Plus plan, which is the richest plan, and I'm going to include a network discount savings card. Now, they can still go to any provider they choose. The plan will pay the same benefit, but if they stay within a discount card, they'll get additional benefit and reduced prices. So now in my shopping cart, I have a short-term medical plan, I've got a dental plan, I've got an accident plan, and for this 35-year-old male, the amount due today is $224.26. That includes a $35 enrollment fee, and his monthly reoccurring cost is going to be $189.26. A very nice price for a good coverage for this individual. Now, if the customer is ready to move forward, I just click on Enroll Now. What I want to do in this case, though, is create the proposal and send it to him. So I'll click on Create Proposal, which is, by the way, the trigger to save the quote so you can come back to it in the future. From this next screen, all I need to do is click on Email Report. It opens up my email box. I can type in my email address. I can type in a nice message to my customer. Hey, Joe, here's the options we talked about. If you like it, you can self-enroll from this email. Otherwise, give me a call. And then I just click Send Message. Once that's done, it tells me my proposal's been sent, and you will receive a copy of that email as well. I encourage you to get in here, play with it a little bit, send one to yourself so you know what it's going to look like from your customer's standpoint. What I want to show you now is how to get back to a saved quote. So in the upper left, in this thin blue line, just click on the word Contacts. And because we did a quick quote, it just saves it as a web visitor. I'm going to click on that first name of web, and it opens up the contact record. At any time, I can edit this information, add the name and address, any of those details. Here's the census information that I entered. I have my male, age 35. And as I scroll down the screen a bit, there's a section for proposal history. This is where my saved quote is. If I want to get back into that, I just click on Review Proposal, and it'll take me right back to that shopping cart area. Again, at this point, maybe I talk to Joe, and Joe says, I love it, but I'm not quite ready. I don't have money for the dental. Let's remove that. We can remove dental. Now we have short-term and accident, and we're going to begin our enrollment. I'm not going to walk you through the whole enrollment process. It's pretty straightforward, but I do want to point out that the first thing we ask for is the primary applicant's email address. It's really critical that you take your time, get the email address correct. On all agent-assisted enrollments, it does require the customer to complete an e-signature prior to the application actually being submitted. If the email address is not correct, they're not going to get the email to do the signature. And there's no way to edit an application once it's pending signature, so you would have to start the process over. I don't want you to have to do that, so make sure you get the email address correct. All right, that pretty much is how easy it is to quote a policy. Let me show you one more thing here. Okay, this was the quoting site. And then you do have access to the agent back office as well, where you can monitor your book of business. Here's the website. I want to point out that we have some really nice resources for you on the home page of your back office. And all of these, actually 3 out of 4 of these resources were just updated yesterday. There's a guide on how to use the back office. There's an agent product guide. It gives you eligibility for all the plans. It gives you contact information for member services, for claims. The state product availability grid shows you by state the products that are available. And the last help document there is a nice chart for the short-term medical plans. It shows you which states are association states and what the maximum policy term is for each state. Deb, at this time, let's open it up for any questions. And I do want to thank you before we go into that. Just thank you for spending this time with me. If you do have additional questions, just reach out to either Phil or myself.
Okay, well, thank you, Nancy. Let's see who has any questions. First, if you want to ask a question live, just raise your electronic hand icon and I'll unmute you and you can ask your question. Doesn't seem to be any live questions. Let me see what we have. No, we just have one question about the rate comparison that I talked about earlier. I can send that to you, Nancy, not Nancy Vandervelde, Nancy S. I will send that to you. And those appear to be all the questions. Oh, no, just got another one. Michael's asking about the commissions. We are paying 18% compensation for the product. We do have some agency contracts available if you are an agency. So Michael, just reach out to me. You can reach me at debw@urlinsgroup.com. And Vivian asks if we can open and look at a plan. We have the information on our site, Vivian. I will email that to you as well. Making notes. Nate wants to know if brochures are available to order, and if so, how? Absolutely, Nate. We can, if you want to filter those through Judy, we can get you those rates. Patricia says, look back for pre-existing is 1 year, but questions on application goes back 5 years. Can you help with that, Nancy?
Sure. Very good. So the application, the eligibility questions for standard issue plan is asking about a look back in 5 years. So if they've had any of those big items in the last 5 years, not going to be eligible for standard issue. Now, once somebody is issued a policy, then we use a 12-month look back period in determining what's going to be pre-existing. So if they've had symptoms, taken medications, seen a doctor for anything in the last 12 years, it is going to be excluded.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? It does not appear so. As always, I thank everyone for joining in. Nancy Vandervelde, thank you so much for running this program. I appreciate it. This is going to be recorded, so you will all get a copy of the presentation, and you can review it. And of course, you can always reach out to myself or Judy Reed with any questions. If you are interested in getting appointed, shoot me an email, or again, reach out to me. I'm happy to help you get appointed. And at this point, we'll close the webinar, and thank you all again for joining in, and I wish you all a great Friday and a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.